into a water garden center. Glad you guys are tuned in here. So we've got just enough time to get another cup of coffee before we start. Today's garden classes, hey there, welcome, is on fall. What should you be doing in the fall? What kind of plants are coming in the fall? What color are you getting most out of fall? So Michaela's going to take that. I'm going to introduce her. She's one of our team leads here. She controls basically everything that in the garden center. And she's a good gardener. I wanted to share with you, though, something that we're doing. So bulbs. I've sold bulbs here at the garden center for 20 years. Why? Because they don't sell fast enough. They start to shrivel so quickly in our dry soil. They shrivel and die. They just don't do very well. So you go to your box store to get the wall of tulips, daffodils, freesias, ranunculus, and they're put in sawdust, and they just start shriveling the second they hit the shelf. What to do? Well, I've got friends in all the right places, and I know the guys that are growing the bulbs in the fields. They've harvested all those. What just happened to me? They go out? Okay. Well, assume that you folks online can hear us. So,
you can search words.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll sign up for a second.
Okay.
I charged them all night too.
Let's see. Does that do anything? Does? Yes.
Can you hear you?
Cool.
Here, let me do
We'll get
this.
back in a second. So what we've done is we've direct shipped. So they've harvested the bulbs, all bulbs, all of them are grown in Holland. The best bulbs are grown in Holland. They're just famous. They're globally famous for their bulbs. So they harvest those. They start with iris, and they start to go over. Now it's tulips, freesias, daffodils, ranunculus. They're all harvested. They land. They come over here, and they have them in a cooler. They harvest them. They put them in a cooler truck. They put them in a warehouse. They put them on a boat that's cooled, and they come over to America, and they ship them out to the retailers. Well, that's good. When they sit on the shelf and are dim fluorescent lights for like 3 weeks before you get to them, why not have direct access to bulbs? So I just got
Ignore
mine.
me for a sec.
These came in yesterday. These are for me. It's a very rare pink double daffodil. Usually daffodils are yellow. Oh, it's so boring. Those are available too, but this is a pink. So they come like this. A box of, I think it's 10 or 15 bulbs. You notice that the bags are actually perforated, so they're aerated. Because bulbs are filled with moisture. These are nice, plump, and full. This is what you want to see. This is what you want to plant. Nice, firm, juicy. Feel this? Nice. They're not very pretty, but they're nice and plump and full. So this is that great big. The first one in spring. They get about that big a flower. This is double pink or an apricot, kind of apricot color. Very unusual. So now you got it directly from the warehouse in Wisconsin. They brought it to Holland, Wisconsin. Now they're shipping to all the retailers. Well, now they ship it right to your door instead of waiting for it to then get to your garage. That's the freshest of the bulbs. Soon now. I got alliums. Allium is a decorative garlic. It looks like nice, big, gigantic. What is that big? It's, I don't know, 6 inches round. So the roots are here. Top comes out here. This is cuts a great big flower, the great big pom-pom, purpley kind of flower to it. It's allium. You can order these yourself online, brightestfall.com. I'll send you the link. In fact, I'll send you 3 things. You all online, you already have these. I've got 4 handouts for you. 1. This is plant food, 4-step plant food. You should be fertilizing in October. It's important. Fertilize now. It's your most important fertilizer of the year. I'm going to give this one to you. You may have that. You'll all get a digital copy. I got bulbs. How do you plant bulbs? So whenever you order bulbs from us online, I make sure this is emailed to you as well. So this to the back. That's for you. If you like bulbs. And then the garden calendar. I put this together several years ago. It's what do you do each month? It's just bullet points. This is kind of my writing schedule that I do each week. I expound upon that. But what should you be doing in October? What should you be doing in all 12 months? Certain things you should be doing. Right now, we're starting to see frost going to show up. Usually by the second week, the latest of November, you're seeing your first frost. It's light, it'll freeze and come right back and be glorious again. But there's certain things you should be doing. Get ready for that. So this will be to you as well. So that's beautiful. And I've got the 11 fall tips. There's 11 things you should do in fall. That'll be to you as well. So those are the 4 things. If you want copies of those, folks online, just hit it and download it. For the rest of you students, I'll give that to you. That'll be probably be emailed to you on Monday. And I'll get you a link to the bulbs. I actually curated them. We put together a list. Javelina, my nemesis. I've heard of Javelina. It's ridiculous. If I were to plant tulips in my front yard, that evening, they're like candy bars for javelinas. They love them. They're delicious. And so I put together a separate list of just javelina-proof bulbs. What have I had success with? We put that on the website. So we're helping you garden smarter here. They don't tell you that in California, or Colorado, or Mississippi. But here at Waters Garden Center, we're here for you, because we know what problems we have. And both of these are javelina proof. They don't eat daffodils, and they don't eat alliums. So they don't eat iris. So they don't eat hyacinth. So we put that, curated that list for you so you can order confidently. If you're in the backyard, it's fenced. Plant whatever you want, because it doesn't matter. Anyway, that's how the bulbs come. I brought it for you because I ordered mine. It came in about 3 or 4 days. Takes a couple days to ship across. This was, I think, United States Postal Service. Yes, so it comes, no, it came FedEx. Oh, even better. So with that, that's all I had. Thank you for giving me a moment, Michaela. Michaela is one of our key speakers, leaders. She helps guide the entire garden center. She's a encyclopedia full of knowledge. Give it up for Michaela. Oh, you need your microphone back, don't you? We're sharing. We got to get those charged.
Gotta teach him to share better.
Can I show one other thing too? I brought this.
You can
it's
keep
so
this
cute.
as long as you.
I just got it. It's just so cute. This is a blue white spruce. So spruce grows great up here. Spruce mountains right there. All spruce do fantastic. This is a dwarf variety. And I brought it for you because, and I roll it in front of the camera, this is the plant with the cutest pine cones of all evergreens. So you'll see, like right here, I don't know if you can see that. That is actually grows a pine cones right on the very tips of the branches, and they're like this big. Is that cute or what? It's just like the cutest little pine cones. I don't get excited about plants very often, but I just saw that and went, oh, it's so pretty. So anyway, with that, I'll leave it with you.
Hi guys, how are you this morning? I don't know about you, but fall is my favorite season. Partially because in about 2 weeks, all these pesky mosquitoes are going to be dead and gone, and I can't wait. But I also love the fall color. Like, look at how pretty this is. It's my favorite anyways. But the first thing I want to kind of show off is this tree here. I don't know if you guys can see it in the camera if I move it over, but I'll put it down for you. This is an autumn blaze maple, and I think it's the prettiest fall tree that there is because of its color. And it's a great time to plant now that we're out of that extreme heat, and we've still got some time before we really start getting a hard frost. So you can plant trees and stuff here year round, but fall is one of the best times to plant because we still have time before we're really getting too hard of ground. And it's not 100 degrees out. No one wants to plant in 100 degrees. So these guys are great. Planting, just, you're going to dig your hole a couple times as wide as your plant. Number one thing to do, check your hole for drainage. We are notorious for having pockets of clay and things like that. And if you've got heavy clay content and poor drainage, you can drown your trees, plants, shrubs, anything. So it's one of the most important rules to do. And then you put it in, mix your soil, mulch, things like that. Those are really important for this time of year as well. Mulch and things like that are going to help insulate the root system for those colder months. Another really important thing to do with the deciduous trees, especially, is to stake them. We get fall winds, very high winds here, as well as high spring winds. So we have pre-assembled stake kits. They come with a lodge pole, a wire, and a V-strap. This little V-strap just goes around the trunk of the tree, gives it some wiggle room so it's not pinching or cutting into the tree, but it holds it up, keeps it from, going sideways after a few years. Tree stakes. The other thing I want to kind of touch on for fall is just more of the design aspect. My background is in art materials retail. So like I'm looking for color and pretty things, And so fall colors, different things like that. One of the fun things for this time of year are these pansies. They'll go all through winter. They can handle the cold, no problem. But this is the spooky blend. It is the orange and black for Halloween. So kind of a fun little thing. I'll show the camera there. You can see that pretty black color. So just a kind of a fun pop of color that can be switched out. It doesn't have to go all year, You can garden for the seasons, just like you decorate. And a couple of things with that would just be talking about not just plants, but incorporating color like with your pottery. Pottery can be a really good choice, especially for people who don't want to do a ton, but they still want to get that different color for fall. So you can see this really pretty bronze colored pot. We have these in this size and even a little smaller. So you can even bring these for your indoor houseplants and switch it up, get a little bit more fall color that way. Another thing you can do is if you're not much of like, I don't want to tend it all season long, is bringing in color like your gardenscapes. We have these pretty orbs down there. It's a nice orangey fall color. Again, they can be switched out with the seasons. Bringing in a pop of color, especially for those people who go out of town and don't want to be adding more things to water or tend when they're in and out during those holiday seasons. These do come in reds and blues and things like that. So you can switch it out for spring, summer, fall, and just adding those pop of color, maybe in spots that are more difficult. You can't grow in that spot, but you don't want to leave it bare. These are really good choices. With that being said, I'm going to jump back into the plants. One of my favorites is mums. Can't go really wrong with those. For fall, this is the time that they bloom and they're really showy. And they can be put in pots, as you can see here, or you can plant them in the ground. They do come back a little bit later than some of your earlier spring, summer flowers. So it's something to keep in mind. A lot of people think they're dead. And it's like, give them an extra week or so after some of the other ones because they don't bloom out till later. So that's something to keep in mind. Now with that, making sure you're watering through the winter. One of the key important things is people just turn their irrigation systems off when we start getting those hard freeze. And these smaller ones especially really do struggle if they don't get any moisture through the winter. So that's another really important thing with especially the smaller, but with all your plants in general. More color, you can do your fall annuals, like your pansies, your marigolds. Look at that color. It's just gorgeous. Got that there. That's another good filler one for pots, things like that. And this one here, the ones that we currently have in stock are all the French variety. The French variety is the most bug repellent variety or bug resistant of all the marigolds. A lot of people think that they're all the same across the board, and the French variety is actually the most bug repellent. A few other perennial varieties that we have are like your coneflower, also known as echinacea. This real pretty one here is called the Prima Ginger. Real pretty orange color. This one will come back every year. It is herbaceous, meaning it's going to die back completely to the ground during the winter, but it will come back once it starts warming up, again, provided it's had a little bit of food and water to sustain it. But I love this color. This is one of my favorite flowers. It's a very pollinator friendly and goes well in a lot of different settings because this comes in many colors, purple, white, red. So you get to pick and choose depending on what season you're planting for. So another fun plant here. As you can see, it is starting to change red color here. This is the Oregon grape. There are a few varieties of this plant. This one is the creeping variety. It specifically does need afternoon, particularly mid-afternoon shade during our hot summer sun. So it's a great option to plant near the base of your evergreens and things like that, where it gets a little bit of shaded and it's a little bit more low maintenance than some of your smaller plants as far as getting up under there, and it takes about the same water system setup as some of your trees and things. This one, again, does need shade. There is a compact variety that needs, or that can handle more sun, and that will turn a bit more red. This is evergreen, meaning it keeps its leaves year round. That's one of the kind of funny things about saying evergreen in our area is a lot of evergreens, you think pines, spruces, things with needles. But there's a lot of evergreens that have foliage, and some of them will flower, some of them will change color and still keep their foliage year round. So that's a really nice and fun thing to incorporate throughout your seasons. You have a few staples, and then you just tie in different colors, going back to that design aspect of things. Another example of an evergreen, this is what most people consider an evergreen, is like a blue spruce. And as you can see, these don't look at all the same. They're totally different plants, but they're both evergreen in the fact that they keep their foliage. This is going to change color though, so it's not actually going to be green. Little note about evergreens for this time of year is it is the most important time of year to fertilize. You want to fertilize everything this time of year. Very important to get it through the winter, but especially your evergreens. One other thing to do for your evergreens, is you see this one, it's got that nice blue kind of tone, is to give them aluminum sulfate. This will help keep them or get them to produce that more blue tone. So if you notice you have a blue spruce, it's just not looking as blue as it used to. It needs a little bit of aluminum sulfate. That'll perk that color back up and give it a new fresh look. Show the camera there. Did you guys have a question?
We was just wondering if we had.
Don't have this one. We sell it down there. You can go grab it by the bag. We can fix that for you. Before I forget, because I did forget earlier, I do have another event that I need to get to after the class. So last 15 minutes, we're going to open up for questions and things like that. And then I'll leave you guys with Mackenzie. She's the one that trained me. So I will know less than she does. So I feel very comfortable leaving you in her capable hands with any additional questions. But do feel free to ask questions here and there. Yeah, this is the Fat Albert Blue Spruce. It's a little bit chubby guy. This one here will get about 30 feet tall and about 15 feet wide. So keeping that in mind with watering is really important. And this is for pretty much any evergreen, tree, shrub, things like that, is you, as the plant matures, you will space out its watering a bit more. But with specifically evergreens, they have what's called a taproot. Now a taproot goes straight down. So how do you get water to that? You have to water more, because if the further that taproot is down in the soil, the more soil you have to saturate in order to get to those lower root system. So if you see the top of your evergreens or your top of your trees start browning, and it's just the tips, it means not enough water is getting down to that lower root system. So that's a really important aspect of these. Now this one here can handle very cold weather, goes all the way down to zone 2, which is way colder than I ever want to be. Oh, sorry guys, I like to hide. No, I'm just kidding. But they can also be planted in full sun. Now, with that being said, we do live in a very dry, hot climate. So making sure that that deep water gets taken care of during the summer is very, very important. And then also making sure you are watering a couple times a month. We do live in the desert here. It's high desert, but we still do live in a very dry climate compared to what these are natively used to. So just keeping that in mind. They will become more acclimated to our climate over time. But, you know, just like you, if you move to a new state, you kind of got to get used to it. It takes a little bit. It's not going to happen overnight.
We say something about that. I did this to Eric too, so don't worry about it. The reason why these are important to feed in the fall is because they only have one growing season. Their growing season is the spring. So if you miss that period to get them food, you miss out on as much growth as you can get. Because to get this to full size takes like 10 to 12 years from this size. But if you can push it in the fall so it has that energy to push all that bright blue growth in the spring, most important. Okay, so that's why feeding these trees right now is why we're pushing it so hard. You'll hear us say it all the time to you. So just want to mention that. The other thing with watering is a lot of people, once these trees get bigger or you buy a house that has an established one, make sure the drip system's moved out with it. A lot of times people just leave the drip under it and that doesn't do anything once it gets older. Because that root, yes, we got tap roots that go down, but they also go sideways. Now, you guys have all tried to probably dig in our soil. It is cement. You got that clay cement. So roots tend to go, that thick root goes down and sideways. So you got to move out that drip with it to actually give it water that it can use to then get to the top of a tree, get to outside of all its new growth. So I just wanted to mention why we're pushing feeding now.
Thank you. Before I move the tree, I actually kind of wanted to go over the signs of the why or when it needs fertilized and things like that. One of the things that plants show you that they're nutrient deficient. A lot of plants, like especially your really green, bigger leaf foliage and things like that, will change color. You'll notice yellowing. Now, plants like this, you can see, that's how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to have that yellow. A plant like this, however, its two colors are red and green. So if you start noticing yellow, you should be asking why. Why is this happening? Now, yellowing happens for 3 reasons. Regular plant color, it's supposed to, over or too frequent water, and nutrient deficient. You'll notice a few different things to how to tell the difference. When it's nutrient deficient, it usually shows up in a couple ways. It becomes very pale all over, and the veining of the leaf, this inside structure that you see on all the leaves, turns darker green than the rest of the leaf. So it looks really odd and funky. That tells you it's nutrient deficient. That means you want to get it some iron, get it some of these other nutrients, which we've built into our fertilizer. So just something to keep in mind. When it is yellow and brown spots, that's a sign that it's probably staying a little too wet or being watered a little too frequently at that upper level. You'll notice that the leaf is soft, but you're noticing brown spots and speckles and things like that. That's one of the easiest, first and most common signs that it's staying too wet and that you may have a fungal issue developing. And that can happen most frequently when we start cooling off and people don't adjust their watering system for the fall, and when we go into monsoon season and we get all this rain dumped on us all at once. So a couple things to keep in mind is keeping your plant well fed will help it fight off infections, different things like that. Also, using products like Fungicide 5. It's probably one of my favorite products, which is kind of funny to say about a fungicide. But it not only treats the plant with active issues, but it can also be used as a systemic and feed up through the plant and help somewhat prevent fungal issues from developing. So if you know you have a plant, like say your red tip Photinia or your roses, you know, you're constantly seeing those guys struggle, go in right before your monsoon or your fall season and give it a drench of this, and that will help prevent that from even starting. So it's a really good product that way. I'd rather fix it before it happens and then just have pretty plants year round. I'll move this now. a pretty tree. I mean, who's ready for Christmas? You could decorate this thing. Now we're going to talk about the fertilizer. The fertilizer is that we recommend this time of year specifically, and really multiple times a year, but for all plants this time of year, your 744 all-purpose food. The other one that we sell regularly is fruit and vegetable, and that one you want to use really making sure during that growing season, it's got additional things like calcium and stuff for fruits and vegetables. But this time of year, you want to do your all-purpose. It is specifically formulated for the Prescott area. That's one of the huge benefits of this one specifically is we've done a lot of soil tests and we go, okay, well, what's wrong with our soil? And it's full of clay, it's deficient in nitrogen and phosphorus and all these things. So these guys built a fertilizer that fixes those. Now you can go to a box store and you can buy another fertilizer, but it's not designed for the Prescott area. So it could be getting nutrients or not nutrients that we specifically need. Now with this, we recommend about 4 times a year. It is a slow release fertilizer. You're going to do Easter, 4th of July, Halloween, and then for these evergreens and stuff, you'll add in New Year's. But the most important time is right now. Again, she was talking about it earlier, is those evergreens have one growing season. So making sure they're fed at the right times is super important. And having the correct food and nutrients will just help it fight off things like disease and stuff like that. Just like we do, we need to eat a healthy diet and we need to stay hydrated. That's the basis of every healthy person. Same with plants. So really important. There are instructions right on our bags so that you don't have to kind of do the math yourself. You just kind of go, okay, here's my tree. I have to do a little bit of math, but it's got measured out for you. One thing to keep in mind is if you've planted trees, shrubs, things like that within the last few months, there are instructions for newly planted. You just do a lower amount. You don't want to go too hard on a little tender root that just got put in the ground. For things like that, we've got something else. And that is Root and Grow. It's another really good product. This is our root stimulator fertilizer. This is what we recommend for anything newly planted or anything showing signs of stress. Kind of how I describe our main fertilizers is this is your cup of tea when you're not feeling so great. You just need a little pick-me-up, little de-stress. You don't want the jittery of the caffeine, you know, things like that. Your flower power, which makes things like this bloom. I didn't bring one up today, but that's your morning cup of coffee. That's going to perk you up and make you look really pretty, but it's not going to sustain you long term. It's going to give you these, and then when you're done blooming, you need real food. That's what this is. This is your meat and potatoes. This is what's going to sustain you. Put it in people terms. It's a little easier to understand sometimes. Another thing I want to touch on real quick while we're talking about products and things is frost cloth. If you don't have one and you have more tender trees, shrubs, little fruits and vegetables, things like that, this is a great, easy tool to have for those really cold winters or early spring, or something you just, if you want to let your veggie garden go a little bit longer, this frost cloth, just like a little sheet, goes over the top when we're hitting those cooler temperatures, keeps your stuff going just a little bit longer, or saves you in the early spring. Do you have a question? No? Okay. The important thing with this is just the fact that it is breathable. So you can use like lightweight sheet if that's something you have. You don't want to use plastic or things like that. That will suffocate your plants or lead to mold, things like that if left on too long. Touch on a few more plants here for you. This is called heuchera. It's a great little plant to add a pop of color. It does stay pretty low to the ground, but as you can see, it gets these pretty fall foliage. These do need that mid to afternoon shade. So they're another one that is a great companion plant for planting low down under things, up against that building where there's a little too much shade for your regular flowers and blooming things. Some people call this coral bells. They do get a little bit of a stalk with a dangly little flower. They do come in multiple colors. You can see here, this one's quite a bit more red. It's a real pretty flame color. This one is called a fire alarm. So really flame red. And this one is the Ruby Tuesday. So fun little plants. They're great for in pots as well because you can move them up front, kind of showcase them when other things are kind of dying out. These will keep their color quite a bit longer. And then you can move that pot into the shade during those hot summer months. Show you guys this one. This is a new variety for us. This is a hawthorn. The variety is Redbird, and it's actually one of my new favorite plants because it is one of the few flowering evergreens, and it gets this pretty fall color. It's just kind of the style I like, but it's a great transition plant because it will have this nice green foliage during the spring, summer, things like that. You get your flowers and your pop of color in fall, and then it goes back to this green color during winter. So you really get that transition throughout the seasons and having the changes and stuff. This one here, they do come in multiple sizes for hawthorns. This one will get about 6 by 6. We have other ones that will, like the ballerina Indian hawthorn, stay a little lower, but still put off those pretty little pink flowers. So if you're looking for flowering evergreens that can handle full sun, this is one of your go-tos because that is a limited selection of things that you can find. We do have a few left of these ones. Yeah, it's really pretty. It's my favorite.
So the one thing with this is it can also do partial shade. So a lot of times you'll see it under overhangs, things like that, because it can do both. Because it doesn't have to keep a lot of color, it can handle that shade as well if you want that pop of flowers. The other thing with it, I will say, is you don't really want to trim this one down in particular because you'll lose all the color. So it's like the red tip photinia. If you cut that, you don't get as much of that red color as you would if you just let it grow. Because this, yes, turns red in the fall, but also any new growth on it stays red. So the new growth is red, changes to green. So that's why you don't want to really trim it. So you want to give it its full size. The other ones, they don't get the red. They're green. You can trim them. You can do what you want with them. This one in particular, you don't really want to do that. So that's all I had.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. One other thing I do want to touch on now that she brought up trimming, if I can get my radio back on, is a lot of people, especially from other climates, they're used to pruning this time of year. You actually don't want to do that this time of year. For the vast majority of your plants, you can do light shaping and things, but you want to wait until spring to do a lot of your heavier pruning, especially with your things like your lilacs and things. You want to wait until after they're done blooming. If you prune those now, you're going to cut off all those spring blooms, and then you're going to be in spring going, why didn't my lilac bloom? It's because you pruned it all off in winter. So really important thing to keep in mind is to actually wait until early spring to do the majority of your pruning. With pruning, you want to make sure you don't prune back too much because the foliage will actually help protect it through the winter as well. So it's actually somewhat of a protection against the cold. So that's another reason why we don't do it. And that's with things like your heucheras and stuff like that, with your mums and things. You want to leave that foliage. It's going to protect the core of the plant during the winter, and then cut it back next year, like March would be probably the ideal time for most plants, unless they're spring bloomers. Those you want to leave until after they're done blooming for the season. Jump into another product real quick. Speaking of prepping for fall, winter, cedar bark is a great option for just putting around the bases of all your trees, shrubs, anywhere you want to insulate a little bit more. This is going to create a little bit of a barrier, keep things a little bit warmer in the soil. It's also bug repellent and will help weed control. So and bug repellent specifically with the cedar bark. Cedar is naturally repellent in that area. So if you had an area you didn't want to put plants, it's a great option to put down. to kind of help with that control and to actually mitigate some risk of fire because you are controlling that weed barrier as well. So really good thing there. Smells really good. And it looks pretty. We don't dye any of the mulch that we bring in, so you don't have to worry about it leaching color or anything into your soil, around your veggies, your fruits, things like that. I'm going to talk about this one real quick. You might be thinking, why are you pulling out holly? That's a Christmas plant. Holly, the reason I like to bring it out now is because it can be a transition plant. It does have these pretty red berries. Give it a second. Pretty red berries. It's a plant you do want to get in the ground now. Let it get established before we get into those cooler months. You can plant later. Again, you just won't want to. Why would you want to do it in the freezing month when you can do it now in really nice weather? And it is evergreen, so it's going to keep this foliage through the winter. But you can tie this in with your other colors and things like that. You got your red pop there, and then you've got your orange here, and they complement each other well. So it's just things design-wise. You want to find what you like. Don't plant what you don't like. So just something to think about. A lot of birds like holly. They also like the creeping mahonia or Oregon grape. They will go after the little fruits that these put off. So if you're growing for the birds, this is a really good option if you want a lot of wildlife in your yard. One thing I did forget to mention about the hawthorn that I mentioned earlier is it is pet safe, non-toxic for pets. So that is something if you are concerned about and you're looking for plants, make sure you are touching base with one of the staff members asking, hey, is this toxic for my dog? We don't want you to get home and plant and then you have, Buddy over here and he's digging up and chewing on things. You do want to keep in mind the health of your pets and animals. So that we do know a lot of different ones and we can direct you to those safer options for you. That's one of the ones that is very pet safe.
We also say check with your vet, okay? Because we don't want to be responsible either. Check with your vet because there are so many varieties of things as well. So if you ever have to ask that. With the holly, now you will see the boxers and stuff have hollies. They'll have them in the Christmas tree forms, they'll have this thing. You got to be careful. You might need a male or a female partner. So the berry magics, this is what this one is. They are male and female in the same plant. So you only need one to get the berries. Some of them, if they don't say berry magic or things, or they don't tell you they get berries, they will need a pollinator. Because the ones that get berries are the females, the ones that will pollinate them are the males. So just be careful what holly you're getting if you do want it. Because a lot of people want the berries, but if you don't get the mix, you won't get them. Okay, so that's something important with these guys. So also I just want to mention with our plant food, it's pet safe, but it's not all natural. It's not all organic. It is all natural. It's got bone meal and blood meal, so it can't be organic with those. It's all natural, but you water it in. Water it in because your pet will want to eat it. You don't want them eating a whole chunk of it. They'll just get sick. It won't hurt them, kill them or anything. They'll just get sick. Just water it in. It makes it really easy. I know you all kind of seem familiar. You've been to our classes, but I have to say it every time about that stuff. Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you. I didn't actually know that about the hollies, so learn something new every day, folks. The hollies would prefer a little bit of afternoon shade if possible, especially during those really hot moments. That's for the summer. Now, like if you had this in a pot, you could have it out in full summer this time until we start coming the end of May. And then you kind of want to put that, June, July, August during those really hot months, shift it over, to a little bit out of the sun in those hot afternoons. So that's a very good question. Good thing to keep in mind is if it says partial sun, question it because it probably means that it does need some shade. Not everything, even the things that say full sun, those tags aren't necessarily designed for Prescott, Arizona. So it's just something to keep in mind when you are choosing plants. We are getting close on time as far as to start answering questions and things, but I do want to go over this pretty plant here, and I will pull this one as well. These are two different varieties of the same plant. This is Nandina or Heavenly Bamboo. This one here is the Tuscan Flame, and this one is the Firepower. Both of these are very animal or deer resistant plants, and they stay on the smaller side. They don't get absolutely massive, which is kind of nice. They're also considered evergreen, meaning that they're going to keep their foliage, but as you can see, they are going to change color. You can see this one here starting to get that bright red foliage. I like this one because it turns this color all over the whole thing, and it's just it's stunning. The Tuscan Flame gets about 3 feet wide, 4 feet tall. So it's a nice one for those areas that you don't want to necessarily block your view, but you don't want to leave it bare, and you want a little pop of color. This is one of the most low maintenance plants out there. Handles full sun, no problem. Wind resistant, animal resistant, and again, just becomes more and more drought tolerant as it really gets established to our climate. This one here, the Firepower, gets, I think, 30 inches by 30 inches, so just under 3 feet. So this is a good one. You could even make little hedgerows and things like that out of it, because it does keep this year round. I'll show this one because it was on the floor, if you can see that. You can see it's turning more of a dusty orange. Gets a little bit of fall color there, and it is nice and dense. So if you do want to block a certain area, like your water heater or your AC, and you don't really want to look at it, this is a great option for that. Going back to color without plants, check out this beautiful color on this. So that's another option, pretty fall color without plants. With pottery, something to keep in mind is, especially transitioning into the colder months, is you do want to make sure that it has airflow around the roots. You can see that is flush to the ground, especially if you're putting it on pavers. So when you water, you can actually, freeze your pot to the ground. It's not going to break the pot. We carry frost-resistant pots. If you bought a pot somewhere else, can't guarantee that. Not all of them are. But one thing you can do to help is these things called pottery feet. And there's these little ceramic glazed little risers that just elevate your pot, creates airflow through the bottom of the pot, keeps the pot from freezing to the ground, and helps with the drainage during those cooler months so it's not sitting stagnant. So very important little tool that a lot of people don't think about. They come in lots of colors. We have white, red, blues, copper, slate gray. So you can kind of match your pots as well. But just a very important thing going forward if you do have a lot of pottery and things like that during those cooler months. This here is maiden grass. And as you can see, it does get this fall color and really pretty plumes. This one here can handle some partial shade or more full sun. If you're questioning whether it can handle the full sun, if you're at a little bit higher spot or a little bit warmer, always just give it a little shade. It's when in doubt, lean towards an hour or two of shade. Just about every plant can handle a little bit extra shade in Arizona because we're just so hot. Yeah, this one will get up to about 5 feet tall. So it gets pretty big. It'll get up to about 3 feet wide. So that is a really important thing to keep in mind with planting any plant is you got to look how big it gets. You go, oh, that's so cute. And then you realize, oh, well, it's just a small size. In 10 years, that's going to be way up here and way out here. So it is a factor you do want to keep in mind. The grasses are a great statement piece, good filler for in your pots, things like that. They come in different colors. You probably see the pampas grass when you walk in with those big ornamental plumes. really popular one. There's another one called pink muley grass. Gets bright pink plumes. So lots of fun options, things like that. Most of the grasses are going to be a little bit more deer resistant. That being said, if a deer's hungry enough, they're going to try anything. Now, we do have products. Let me see. We brought in a new one this year. This is called Critter Go. It's an animal repellent. It's pretty safe. It has things like castor oil, rosemary oil, strong smelling things. I recommend this for anything that's newly planted and during spring when all those little baby fawns are coming out, because they're like a human baby sticking everything in their mouth. They're like, I don't know what this is. I'm going to try it. So if you do this, then they automatically go, oh, that's gross. I don't want to eat that. And they kind of walk away. So very good tool to have on hand spring and when you newly plant it. If it's new, they're like, huh, what's that? I might try it out. So just a good tool to have. A few good tools to have, especially in our area, is an animal repellent and a gopher shield. I would recommend this for any plant that you're putting in the ground. It will just protect the root system from those pesky gophers. A lot of people have gophers, and if you have gophers, you don't have plants because they're going to eat the roots and they're going to kill your plants. They'll either take the whole plant with it or they'll eat the root system under your big, beautiful autumn blaze maple. And then you're wondering, why did that die so fast? What happened? I didn't change anything. Well, the roots got eaten, and then it can't draw up any water, and so then it dies. 2 signs that something's eating the roots is if it's dying real fast and just a section all of a sudden dies. That means something probably ate the roots to that section of the plant or tree. So really good. These do come in multiple sizes. We have 1 gallon, 5 gallon, and 15 gallon. So you can get them up around your trees or even your smaller little heucheras and things like that. Really good tool. This one does come in a pack of 2. So good things to have. Do we have any other questions? We're getting down on time. Okay.
I can talk forever. I'm my father's daughter.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm Ken's daughter. I can talk forever. I use my hands a lot. I can do that. I will say, it seems like we're selling you a lot of products. I just gotta point that out. They're all necessary if you're here. And as you'll know, like we only have half the SKUs as like a box store because I only want to sell you what's gonna help here. Your new home, your old home, that old dirt got wiped away. You have nothing left in your soil. Match that with our alkaline water, calcium water. It's harsh. You have to help our soil here. It is not something. It's not California. It's not Illinois, Ohio, where you just chuck it in the ground and it lives because that soil is fantastic. It's great soil. You need to help our soil here consistently. You can't just help with the first year and then, hey, the tree's established. It's going to do its own thing. It will do its own thing. It just won't look that great. You can tell in the neighborhoods you're in. You go look for it. The blue spruces that got watered and fertilized, they are so much fuller. They don't have that many needle drop as other ones would. You can tell which one's been helped and which one hasn't. They will all still live. There's a difference in the look simply by consistent fertilizing and consistent watering. The other stuff just is a bit of an additive, but you spend all that money to make it look good in that time. Why not keep it looking good with simple things? So that is why we're showing you a lot, but those are the things you need, and that's it. That's all you need unless you have bugs or something else. So that's why I wanted to state that. With the grasses really quick, I will stay. Like this was just straight green 2 weeks ago. Like it just started turning color. It's crazy. So this cold just hit, and then this just started turning color. It's fun. I like mixing. Not enough people mix grasses with other things. A perennial bed. Like these by themselves are okay. Like they look good. But in our rock landscapes or things, these kind of blend in a little bit. And then they get lost. Or they're like just a grass that's got some brown. I love to mix this in with other things around it. Kind of blend it in together. Not just a mass. Not just a random planting. But mixed with other things with grass. You can see the height. Mixed with flowers. Other shrubs. They just look so much better. They look cleaner. They look like they're meant to be there. So just something with grass. It's not used enough here with other things. Like people just throw a pampas grass in and then leave it. there's better ways to do it. So grasses are underused here. They do take quite a bit of water, but they look great mixed. So just mixing that. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I actually did have one other point, and that is with planting your trees. Something I forgot to mention earlier is keep in mind when you're planning where to put those. The root system will match the canopy of a tree, so you don't want to plant that smack up against your house. You're like, oh, that's really pretty. That would go right in the corner of my house. But in 3 years, because these grow 2 to 3 feet a year, that root system is going to be spreading out like this big. And then it's getting into your foundation or your water and things like that. So you do want to plan your spacing out. It is something that's really important for long-term health of your plant and health of your house. You don't want to have to rip a tree out, in 5 years after you planted it because it's doing damage. So just keep that in mind. These are some other fall colors here that go well. This is the rudbeckia, and these are multiple varieties. We have some yellow ones that are pretty much all yellow, and then we have yellow with the dark center, but these just scream fall to me. A really good additive to your flower garden. And I personally like to mix flowers into my vegetable gardens and things. I don't want to just look at all green. Who says you have to plant just vegetables in the garden? Plant some flowers too. You'll draw your pollinators. You'll draw in other things like that, and just add fun color and different stuff. So really good thing. These do need a bit more water than some of your others. So it is something to keep in mind when you're planting plants together. You do want to find ones that take the same watering. You don't want to plant a cactus and this next to each other, because it'll either drown your cactus or you will dehydrate your little rudbeckia here. So just a really key point in planting your gardens in general. I think that was pretty much all I had for kind of information and plants today. Yes, I did forget about this one. Thank you. It is my color. This is called a Virginia creeper, and it is a vine. So it will trellis up a wall, up a trellis, up all kinds of things. It does turn this beautiful color. It does drop its leaves. So it is a deciduous vine. It's going to go dormant. You're just going to have these sticks during the winter. So it is a good one to pair with your evergreens, because you get this pop of color eye-catching, and then you transition into your evergreen trees, shrubs, things like that. This is one that you want to water a couple times a week. You don't want to overwater this. It's one of the most common mistakes people make in our area, is they water too frequently and not enough water. And in reality, you want to set your systems up to water less frequently, but a nice deep saturation, so you get down to those lower root system, but you also give that upper root system a little chance to, dry out a little bit. You don't want it to be sitting like in a bathtub. If you notice your fingers get all pruny, that'll do the same thing to your roots, and then eventually they get slimy and gross and then just fall off. So really important to keep in mind watering and setting things up correctly. And then just adding in different colors and things for each season. You want to do about 20% per season. And then I say 20% with your hard goods, like your fountains and your gravel and just your overall design factor. So it's just 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. That's it. Just remember 20. Exactly.
We all like our 20s.
And then go from there.
This guy, so if you go past Yavapai College on that highway there, they have a full wall of this, and it's bright red right now. It's a good example of what this will do. This also likes to grow in partial shade if you want, up those evergreen tree or up the pinyon pines, up those things. It won't choke it out. You might have to thin it out, but it's great for filling that kind of, give me the word. Trunk, yep. Trunk. And this one, it needs a little help attaching, but then it attaches as it goes. It's one of the few that will root attach to walls as it climbs up. You don't have to constantly add the gum or the stick stuff or anything like that to it. So it does kind of root out as it goes. Little hair root structures coming out from it. Yeah, so that's why this was a nice one for that. Sometimes I like to mix this in with my other vines. So this, because it loses leaves, I like to maybe sometimes mix it with my Japanese honeysuckles, the ones that are more evergreen. That way I kind of get a year-round vine out of it, because I, again, don't like looking at sticks. But if I mix it, then I can do both. But it would require more thinning out of your shrubs or your vines, stuff like that. So he's just fantastic right now. And
Say that was called Arizona kudzu.
I wish I got that. I know I should laugh about it. Don't know about it. It grows everywhere there. It's a little invasive there. Yeah, so it's a little invasive there. Then you'd have to get rid of it. I know people cut them out of their trees and stuff. Not so much here. The humidity keeps, the dryness keeps it from growing crazy big. So he's nice. Any questions or anything while we're missing? Any last thoughts? Michaela, anything? Otherwise,
I think we're good, folks.
I
Okay.
know we finally hit all the plans.
I know.
People let me know if we don't hit all the plans.
I appreciate that.
Thank you
Yeah.
guys. Appreciate it. I'll be here for
You use
questions.
that aluminum and plant food together?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can use, why don't you repeat it just with thoughts?
Yeah, the question was, can you use the aluminum sulfate and the all-purpose food together? The answer is yes. And partially that is because our fertilizer is slow release. So it's not going to overdo it too much. It does take time to break down in the soil. If it was like a liquid fertilizer or something and it broke down faster, you would want to be more mindful. Another key point with this one specifically is you don't want to use the aluminum sulfate in pots or container gardens. It will be too harsh and burn the root system. When it's in the ground, it has somewhere to go. And so it is really important that you don't use that product in your little pots. We may potentially be bringing in a new one that is container safe. So keep in mind that for the future, to change the acidity level, right now you can do things like coffee grounds and stuff, but that's for your pots. That's going to be a lot more gentle and mild for those. Yeah, so this is humic. This is basically broken down compost. I'm knocking over flowers here. This is a really good product to use once or twice a year, especially on your lawns, actually. It will really, you'll see soil activator as a term. That's going to wake up your soil and those healthy organisms. It's also going to promote root growth of your plants. And again, the root system of your plants is the immune system of your plants. So using this for anything that is showing signs of stress or that you just really want to eliminate root shock or develop a better root system, it's a really good product for that. A really more natural and safer product for a lot of your plants, including your fruits and vegetables. So.
It makes your fertilizer work better. It works. It's not a fertilizer itself, the humic, but it wakes your soil up. So when you throw your fertilizer down, it uses more of the energy, more fertilizer into your plants. So it's a good combo. That's why you only need to use it once or twice a year.
All right.
Cool. Thank you, Michaela.
Thank you. All right. You folks have a good day. Buy some pretty fall flowers.